In the 2016 NBA draft, the Denver Nuggets selected Jamal Murray as the 7th overall pick, a Canadian out of Kentucky who finished his season as a one and done. After that season, he projected to become a future all-star, near superstar level talent that can for sure carry a franchise. During his rookie season, he will be a sixth man off the bench and play over 22 minutes. In that 22 minutes, he averaged only 10 points on 43% shooting and 33% from three. Jamal will later improve his game coming into his sophomore year, where he averaged 17.4 rebounds and 3 assists on 45% shooting and a great 38% from 3 in 5 attempts. By the way, he was only 20 years old when he averaged that, and it's looking like he's going to triumph his way into all-star status as a point guard, as he got his numbers up to 18 points and 4 rebounds and 4 assists, with slightly worse shooting from field goal and from 3. Although he has scored more points per game last year, he didn't really improve. He just got more touches, that's why. And that's the same thing this season. He has stayed stagnant. He didn't improve his game whatsoever, not even the slightest, which has brought concern, including me questioning can he be an all-star level player one day. There are so many questions needed to be answered about Jamal Murray, which is why in this video, we are going to discuss the truth about Jamal Murray. Hey man, this is the A-Man Show, back at it again for more content. Make sure y'all subscribe to my channel, turn on post notifications so that way y'all don't miss a video. Anyway guys, stay tuned to the video.
I paid my dues, now I'm a made man. I call my fame, now I'm a made man. You never see me again. I got the juice, now I'm a made man.
Jamal Murray is one of the weirdest players in the NBA, and it's obviously not his personality, but the way he has played. He will have games where he played like a superstar, and then he'll have games where he is shooting his team out of the game. And not only that, he should have been starting at all. That's how weird it is. Look at this chart. In early November of 2018, he had a career high game, scoring 48 points on a great 63% shooting from the field. And then next, he will have 2 games of which he was really abysmal, and the Nuggets lost both games of which he has played. Especially 4 days after Christmas, he will have a 46-point game on 66% shooting and made 9 of 11 threes. But in the next game, he will score only 8 points. Next game, 36 points on 50% shooting. Next game, 8 points with slightly worse shooting. It's the same thing this season. 28 points in the next game, only 8 points, and so on and so on. So you can see a pattern there. Murray has been so terribly inconsistent since he came in as a starter. It has been very concerning. This man never in the regular season had a stretch of which he averaged at least in the high 20 points per game at great efficiency. If you compare him to other point guards who are in the top 10 at their position, they have at least had a stretch of which they averaged more than 20 points with great efficiency. It's not like Jamal Murray is not good enough to be a starter in the NBA. He is for sure a damn starter. He's one of the better point guards in the NBA. He can space the floor, and as a matter of fact, he's one of the most underrated shooters in the NBA. Not only that, he can play make in a high level. He's a great off-ball player. He's everything you want for a modern day point guard. But the thing is, can he be consistent in the moment, especially in the biggest stages where the game matters the most? And the answer is no. There are so many games where this man has been a negative in the Nuggets offense, such as him taking too many tough shots and not being aggressive enough on the wing. And obviously, he's not a good defender at all. He's actually anus on the defensive end of the ball, so that doesn't really help also. But for his case, he doesn't really need to be a great defender because his offense is good enough to give him a pass for his terrible play on the defensive end. But the thing about his offensive game is that we expected him to at least get his numbers up and become a first-time All-Star, which I predicted this season, and he did not improve. Since the Nuggets made it to the Western Conference semis last year led by Jokic, they are in win now mode and they have the pieces to become a championship contender in the West. And since the West has always been tough, Jokic needs a second option to complement his game, which Jamal Murray comes in the picture, but Murray has not been living up to expectations as a second option since he has been one of the most inconsistent players in the NBA. I don't think that he's enough to propel them into that conversation. And I know that the Nuggets has a bright future. I mean a bright future, man. They have young players who can potentially become very serious players, man. You got MPJ, Michael Porter Jr., who's playing in limited minutes, but when he is playing, he has shown immense potential, especially shooting the basketball, and not only that, Bull. This man needs more minutes. If this team develops him the right way, this league is in trouble, man. Based on what I've seen in the scrimmage games, it is unreal seeing him at 7'2", playing like a point guard, and not only that, has a lethal jumper and can move. But anyways, these guys are not going to produce right away, which means that the only guys that can complement Jokic are Barton, Millsap, and Gary Harris. Although they fit perfectly around Jokic, none of them are good enough to become a second option on a championship level team. It is Jamal Murray who's supposed to fill that void by putting up all-star level numbers, but he didn't. Jamal Murray in the playoffs, no, this is his first year in the postseason. He averaged 19.3 rebounds, 4 assists on 45% shooting and 34% from 3. Although it's good numbers, Murray could have been better, especially in the series against the Spurs where they should have gone 7 games had Jamal Murray wasn't very poor in game 3 where he scored only 6 points, and even in game 6 where he scored 16 points but on 39% shooting. And by the way, his draft mate Pascal Siakam, in his first year starting, this man has been exceptional for a second option and certainly outplayed Jamal Murray not only in the first round but in the entire playoffs as a whole. Jamal Murray was projected to be an all-star level player that can elevate his game in the biggest stage. Like for example, his teammate Nikola Jokic had definitely elevated his game in the whole entire playoffs. This man averaged 25 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 assists, shooting 50% from the field and 39% from 3. There were absolutely nothing that he didn't do to get his team over the hump. But for Jamal, that's not the case. And I know it's only just one playoff, but seeing how Jokic and Siakam has stepped their games up in their first ever series, and for Jamal Murray's case, he didn't play terrible by any means, but it's not enough to convince me to say that, okay, he's a legitimate second option on a championship contender. But it's definitely not the case, as in the series against the Blazers where Jamal Murray averaged 24 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, but on 40% shooting and 33% from 3. It's the same thing I'm talking about since the beginning of the video. Sure, he had multiple 30-point games, but when the last 3 games mattered the most, Jamal crumbled under pressure as he averaged 19 points but on 33% shooting and 26% from 3. He was awful. He can barely shoot, let alone score with regularity in the last 3 games of the Blazers series. Jamal Murray time and time again has gone down to his inconsistent ways as he did in the regular season. He'll have games where you're really convinced that he's a legit star, but then he'll have games where you'll say, well shit, he is trash, as it reflected in the Portland series. Now this year, the Nuggets are in the third seed in the Western Conference, and they are good enough to compete with every team in the NBA. And I see them as a dark horse finals contender going into the playoffs, not a full finals contender. Reason being is Jamal Murray. I do not trust him going into the playoffs simply due to the fact that he is too inconsistent and he hasn't improved his game whatsoever. He's basically the same guy that he was last year, and that is not a good thing. He could have been better at finishing at the rim, but prefers taking the majority of his shots from behind the arc, which pretty much shows the trajectory of how good he's going to be whether he hits his prime. Do not forget that the Nuggets has signed him to a 5-year, $169 million deal because they believe that Murray is going to elevate his game to star level. They believe that he will be for sure one of the best players in his draft class. But this year alone, he has not lived up to his contract as he stayed the same player as he was in 2019. But when you compare him to his draft mates, I don't think that he's even a top 5 player in his draft class. I can name a few who has been better overall than Jamal Murray. Ben Simmons, Brandon Ingram, Pascal Siakam, Jaylen Brown, and Caris LeVert. Caris LeVert is really neck and neck based on play alone, but the way he played against the 76ers in the first round last year, he was the best player on the Nets, for sure. He averaged 21 points on nearly 50, 40, 90, so I gotta put him higher on my list anyway. These players, in my opinion, are definitively better players than Murray, but there is a bright side. Murray is going to his age 24 season next year, meaning that he is still young and he still has more to improve, but he has something to prove, and that is, can he elevate his game in the playoffs and become a legitimate clear-cut second option? Because if this guy goes back to his old inconsistent ways in the regular season and during the playoffs, and not only that, don't show improvement in the following year, then the Nuggets should consider trading him in the future or being a lesser role in the offense, because he's probably isn't the all-star player and or clear-cut second option you pair him up with Jokic that we expect him to be. And that's the video. If y'all really like my video, give a thumbs up and make sure y'all subscribe to my channel for more NBA and NFL content, and also click on the notification bell on the right hand corner so that way y'all don't miss a video. Anyways guys, this is the A-Man Show signing out.